guess what time it is? It's cookie season. I'm Ella here, your favorite Girl Scout, and we have your oldies but goodies. Lemonades, Dimmits, peanut butter sandwiches, and more. This year we have a new cookie flavor called the Explore Mug. My goal is 200 boxes, so please make that happen. You're gonna buy cookies anyway, so why not buy them from me?
What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for February 20th, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a feel-good Friday edition of the podcast. A long week. I feel like these short weeks are always tougher than a normal 5-day week because no matter what, you're always trying to squeeze 5 days worth of work into 4. But we're here. It's a feel-good Friday. But it's not a very feel-good Friday for the Sixers. We have now entered that time of the year where every game, will he or won't he? Is he hurt? Is he not hurt? With Joel Embiid, he was sore on his right shin. Not sure if it's a shin splint or what. I did hear something. I forget where I even heard it at this point. But it's somebody connected with the Sixers who is a trainer or a former trainer or something, but did say that Joe's approaching this year a little bit differently, where instead of pushing through certain things, he is going to take a time off and try to be ready for the playoffs. However, the way they played yesterday, they certainly missed him, losing to the Hawks 117-107 at home. Tyrese Maxey at 28, VJ Edgecombe 20. The Sixers now have lost 3 straight, but I told you this at the beginning of the season, I ebb and flow with this team, and right now, definitely on a downward ebb, or would it be a flow? I don't know. Doesn't matter. We're at that time of the year, but they're back in action tomorrow down in New Orleans, and then go to Minnesota on Sunday. Nick Nurse said he's hopeful that the big guy will play tomorrow, which likely means he will not play on Sunday. Just when I got excited about it, Lucy. I had people reach out at one point earlier this season on TikTok, I believe it was, asking, what does the Lucy with the football thing mean? This is exactly what it means. Just when I was ready to kick that ball, Lucy took it, but Sixers lose to the Hawks down in New Orleans tomorrow. Minnesota on Sunday. Good news for the Eagles, as hopefully we can kind of start putting some speculation and quote-unquote rumors to bed here, as Lane Johnson is coming back. Didn't want to go out like that. There's a lot of speculation and people saying, well, you just forced Lane Johnson to retire now that you got rid of Jeff Stoutland. Nope, he's going to be back. He should be back. I likely don't see him playing much more than this year. So I'm fully expecting the Eagles to go heavy on the offensive line in the draft, which they should based on the way they played last year. So we'll see. Also, it was reported that Landon Dickerson will be coming back. He was contemplating retirement, and whether or not he was kind of fed up with his injuries, but I know Cam Jurgens went down to South America for some experimental treatment, so maybe Landon did that as well, and he's feeling good. But that's a huge get, and I think what it means is, one, they're coming back motivated. They are going to come back motivated, and I also think sometimes you can't, and that's why I don't report on and talk about all the rumors that are out there, like, oh, I'm hearing this person saying this, because half the time doesn't come to fruition. So there you go. Lane's coming back. Great. Like, that's great news for that offensive line. Hopefully pulling for Landon that he can kind of stay healthy. But like I said, let's put those rumors to bed. And then, of course, there are all the rumors about A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is not going anywhere. There is no way they're going to take a $40-some million cap hit. So you can talk about, oh, I'm hearing this and they're going to do that and blah, 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 blah. It makes zero sense to do that, especially for a team whose window is open to win a Super Bowl. So, I don't know. Like, Joel Embiid used to do it all the time. I think with all these podcast appearances and things with AJ, he's trolling everybody. And everybody is falling for it. Just sit back, relax. It's the off season. We had a stressful year with the Eagles. Let's be stressed out about the Sixers or the Phillies at this point. Let's just relax. But quick programming note, if you do want to be stressed out about the Eagles, Kyle and I will be back with a new Brotherly Birds episode in a couple weeks, previewing free agency, looking ahead for the draft and things like that. We'll talk Lane, all of the AJ rumors and things like that as well. So stay tuned for that. Best way to stay in the loop is subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. And you can set it right up. You get a notification when new videos post. All right, the Union are in DC United, or in DC to take on DC United tomorrow to open up their MLS season. Hopefully looking to build upon the other day's 5-0 win over the what are they? The Defenders from the TT League down in Trinidad and Tobago. So looking forward to an exciting Union season. And we are going to talk a little college hoops because the way and the landscape of college hoops, not sure if you noticed this, but Villanova Wildcats are hot. And they have a huge game this weekend, tomorrow night, down at the Xfinity Mobile Arena when they take on number 5 UConn. Villanova, this would be a huge win for them, who are just flirting with the outside of the top 25. Kevin Willard has done a great job down out on the main line. So hopefully we'll be watching that. But big opportunity for Villanova to solidify their NCAA tournament ticket and improve their seeding and possibly get up into the top 25, which would be nice. All right, yesterday's trivia question. We talked about Bernard Hopkins defending his middleweight title for the 20th straight time, tying Larry Holmes, the Easton assassin. But I asked, who of all weight classes, who has the longest? A lot of people said Rocky Marciano. He did retire undefeated. However, Rocky Marciano did not have that many title defenses, or as many the title defenses, I should say. The correct answer is, and if you are a Coming to America fan, you will know both of those names, Rocky Marciano and Joe Louis, successfully defended the heavyweight championship 25 times. And he was 75 years old. Insert your Coming to America joke here. He whooped Joe Louis's ass. All right, enough of that. All right, some quick housekeeping notes. Be sure to follow me on all social media at Philly Jimbo. I talked about the YouTube channel. Continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. I feel like we're on the cusp. I have some good things coming up, possibly with working on some things with the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame about expanding some different things. So stay tuned for that. But let everybody know, if you're enjoying this, obviously someone in your network will. And of course, we are proud members of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com to see what they have to offer and how you can join today. Whether you're coaching Little League, crushing your fantasy league, or just rolling up to a bachelor party like a Philly legend, Lotwin Custom Hype Chains bring the energy. Fully customizable, totally unforgettable, and guaranteed to turn you into the MVP of the moment. Great for teams, groomsmen, or anyone who wants to show off with some serious swagger. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD, and get 10% off your own custom hype chain. Lotwin, let's get hyped together. All right, February 20th. First, we're going back to 1996. And on this day, the Utah Jazz beat the Boston Celtics 112-98 out in Salt Lake City. John Stockton had 2 steals. Why are we talking about John Stockton? Well, with those 2 steals, he moved to 2,311 on his career, passing Sixers legend and future Hall of Famer Mo Cheeks for the all-time lead in NBA history in career steals. So Mo had a good run, but John Stockton passed Mo Cheeks on this day for the NBA's career lead in steals. And that does lead us to today's trivia question. Mo is still in the top 20 in career steals. There are two other former Sixers who are in the top 20 in career steals. Who are they? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267 495 8531, or go to the Discord channel, which is one of the links in the description wherever you're listening or watching to this. But Mo Cheeks is in there. What other two Sixers are in the top 20 for career steals in NBA history? Just NBA. We're not doing ABA, NBA combined. All right, fast forward 1 year later to 1997. Sixers beat the Clippers 101-84 at the Core State Center. It was a big numbers day. Soon to be Rookie of the Year, Allen Iverson had 24 points and 13 assists. Clarence Weatherspoon, yes, that Clarence Weatherspoon had 24 points. Now, if you grew up watching Clarence Weatherspoon like I did, excuse me, you would think that that could be possibly his career high, but it is not. He had 35. Clarence Weatherspoon, yes, scored 35 points in a game, but I digress. Derek Coleman, though, was the story. In his first stint with the Sixers, had 21 points, 20 rebounds, one of the few in Sixers history of 20 rebound, 20-point games. Obviously, Wilt's there. I believe Joe had one, but I think, I don't know if he had 20 points. So Samuel Dallenberg also had 20 rebounds at one point in the game. But Sixers beat the Clippers 101-84 at the Core State Center. AI had 24. Clarence Weatherspoon also had 24. And Derek Coleman, 20 points, 20 rebounds in the Sixers win. Those teams were brutal. All right, and then also on the same day as all of this happened, the Phillies made some noise in free agency, signing Danny Tartabul to a 1-year, $2.3 million contract. Had a bonus in there. If he had 500 plate appearances, he would get an extra $500,000. He was looking for a bigger payday. It just wasn't out there, so the Phillies said, we'll take you to hit cleanup. Well, didn't start off well for Danny. He showed up late to spring training the first day due to a communication issue. He was coming off a 27 home run, 101 RBI season the year before with the White Sox. So hopes were high, needed something to put some fans down in the seat at the vet. So as far as the 500 plate appearances, well, in his first at-bat of the regular season, fouled a ball off his foot. Turned out it was broken. Only played in 3 games, 11 plate appearances, and then promptly retired. So didn't really go, but Danny Tartabul signed with the Phillies on this day in 1997. 1 year, $2.3 million. Bonus for 500 plate appearances. Only got 11.
It's time for Fridays with AI, where we ask AI to rewrite Philly sports history. Every Friday, only on This Day in Philly Sports History.
That's right. It is Friday. Time for Fridays with AI, brought to you by Philly Goat. Philly Goat has you covered for all your Philly sports apparel. Go to phillygoat.com. They have the best t-shirts in the area. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. So when AI came to visit this week, AI is starting to get a little nosy, asking me what we're talking about. I'm like, isn't that your job? But AI wanted to know the topics we were talking about. And as soon as I mentioned the word Danny Tartabul, AI said, I got this. Wanted to talk about the top 5 worst free agent signings in Philly sports history. And I was like, AI, we've already done that. And AI said, but here's the twist. You always say to rewrite Philly sports history. So we're going to rewrite it the opposite way. What if those free agent signings had actually worked out? I was like, all right, you got my attention. So, of course, AI started with Danny Tartabul. You know the story. We just talked about it. He was 34 at the time. But AI said, what if Danny had stayed healthy? Could he have hit 25 homers, 90 RBIs? Yeah, maybe close to that 500 plate appearances and get that bonus. Would the team been closer to maybe 500. And I promptly responded, AI, that was a 94-loss team. He was 34. You think a 34-year-old healthy Danny Tartabul is going to make this team a playoff contender? But maybe, just maybe, they have a better season and it changes sort of the trajectory of that tough, brutal Terry Francona era. Maybe Terry Francona remembers that, hey, I'm going to win a World Series soon, so maybe I can do something special here. So we moved on from Danny Tartabul. My all-time worst free agent signing, Nnamdi Asomugha, signed here, and it came in with so much hype. He was the best corner in the league at the time. So much hype because it was the same day that the Phillies traded for Hunter Pence. But this Nnamdi was a part of the Vince Young's dream team and just wasn't a scheme fit from the start. The Eagles were playing a zone defense. He was a man-to-man guy. So it was doomed from the start, as they say. But we thought, what if the Eagles thought better and said, hey, maybe we should fit the scheme around the player. And Juan Castillo, former offensive line coach Juan Castillo, who was named defensive coordinator by Andy Reid, maybe if they did that, could it have helped a team that had a ton of talent that went 8-8? Sure, maybe they make the playoffs. And by making the playoffs, maybe they don't go 4-12 the next year. Maybe Andy Reid stays. At least we don't have the Chip Kelly fiasco. Number 3, very, very close second for me, and that is Al Horford, who nobody to this day is going to tell me that he was not a spy for the Boston Celtics. He was supposed to be the missing piece in the process, and it was awkward since day one. Essentially, you had two big guys who played the same game, so there was zero spacing for Joe. Is maybe part of that on Brett Brown? Sure. And then COVID happened, the bubble, all that other stuff, but he was a spy. And I'm not saying Al Horford is directly related for COVID, but I'm also saying he's not directly related to COVID. But we said, well, what if the Sixers and Brett Brown had kind of gone ahead of the curve and actually created an offense that highlighted both Joe and Al's strengths? Could have had a Twin Towers type lineup where they could have rotated who was the down low, who was out on the wing. Crazier things have happened. Do they get lucky in the bubble? I mean, LeBron James has that questionable asterisk title in the bubble. Maybe the Sixers get lucky, but Al Horford, number 3, the spy Al Horford. Number 4, AI said, was Ilya Brizgalov. He signed to a 9-year, $51 million contract. Forced the Flyers to trade Mike Richards and Michael Carter. Or, I'm sorry, not Michael Carter. Jeff Carter. But unfortunately, we all know Ilya was a space cadet, literally. One time said, I have no confidence in myself, talked about being in outer space, and then said before one of the Winter Classics, got some good news and some better news. Good news is I'm not playing. Better news is we actually have a shot to win. Just not a good fit at all. But we talked about this. What if his goofiness was embraced? They gave him some time to grow, and he actually became a good goalie. Could they have won a cup? Maybe, because you had a young Claude Giroux coming down the horizon and those players. You never know. Maybe we're not looking for a goalie still to this day with the Flyers. But Ilya Brizgalov is number 4. And then finally, one of the other guys I loathe more than anybody, that's Adam Eaton. AI was like, Adam Eaton was terrible. To me, he doesn't deserve that World Series ring. They won that ring in spite of him. He was a number 5 spot starter at best for the Phillies. But what if he doesn't suck? What if he becomes a solid number 3 starter? Maybe 2007 just isn't as exciting as what it was because the Phillies actually were the team to beat and ran away with the division. We don't have to sweat it out on the last day of the season. Maybe they win a game in that playoff series against the Rockies. Rockies ended up moving on to the World Series, so maybe, just maybe, the Phillies can do that too. What does that mean for The acquisitions of Cliff Lee and Roy Halladay, would Ruben Amaro Jr. have felt the need to go after those guys? Maybe he goes after some hitters and some bullpen help, and we have a little dynasty. You never know. But what are your thoughts? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Who's your worst free agent signing of all time in Philly sports history? And then a little bonus headed into the weekend. Give me your what if. What if it had gone the other way? That is Fridays with AI, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. But let me know on the Back to the Future voice and text line your worst free agent signing, as well as your what if associated with it, 267-495-8531. And then finally, fast forward to 2000, my all-time favorite team in Philly sports history, perhaps the best team in Temple basketball history. And I know that's saying a lot because that 88 team was so good and got all the way ranked to number 1. But on this day, the number 15 Temple Owls traveled to Cincinnati to take on the number 1 Cincinnati Bearcats in what was a thriller, a little Sunday afternoon action. A lot of my friends from the fraternity house went out to Cincinnati to see this game. For some reason, I didn't. I don't know whether I had a midterm or something. Either way, I did not go out to this game. But Temple was down 6 with 8 minutes left. They end up pulling away, winning at 77-69, snapping Cincinnati's 16-game winning streak and 42-game home winning streak. But Mark Karcher had 28, Quincy Wadley had 16, Lynn Greer had 15, Pepe Sanchez played some solid defense. Cincinnati was led by Player of the Year, future Player of the Year, Kenyon Martin. After this game, we had Final Four dreams. We went all out onto Broad Street, those of us who were left. It was just a great time to be on campus. Ended up being on TV because Temple got all the way ranked to number 8. The guy tricked me into going, we're number 8. We're number 8 on TV. But great win for the Owls, 77-69 out in Cincinnati, the number 1 ranked Cincinnati Bearcats. And it happened to also be John Chaney's 400th win on North Broad at Temple. And then finally, our Black History Month spotlight, forged in Philly. Mentioned this guy earlier. We're going to go a little bit outside of the city limits again and talk about Larry Hughes, the Easton Assassin, one of the best heavyweights ever. Obviously, he trained in Philly. He sparred with Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. He had 28 consecutive wins at one point in his career. He was the heavyweight champion. We talked about the 20 title defenses in a row. Ended his career 69-6 with 44 KOs. He has wins against Muhammad Ali, albeit late in his career, Ken Norton, Jerry Cooney, Ernie Shavers, and Tim Witherspoon. Started his career 48-0 and did come back out of retirement, fought into the 90s, having title shots against Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Had a great jab, but had a solid defense. He is an International Boxing Hall of Famer. And Larry Holmes, he was forged by Philly boxing to be great because greatness isn't given, it is sharpened through hard work, repetition, and survival. The Easton Assassin made the LV proud, the Lehigh Valley. Shout out to my LV peeps out there. Made in LV, forged in Philly. One of the best to ever do it. Get so excited talking about Larry Holmes, I can't even get the words out. But Larry Holmes is today's Black History Month spotlight, forged in Philly. On this day in 2000, number 15 Temple went out to Cincinnati, knocked off the number 1 Bearcats in a thriller, giving John Chaney his 400th career win at Temple. 1997, Philly signed Danny Tartabul, who turned out to be a bust, to a 1-year, $2.3 million contract. On the same day, the Sixers beat the Clippers 101-84, and Derek Coleman had 21 points, 20 rebounds. And then 1 year earlier, John Stockton passes Mo Cheeks for the all-time lead in career steals in NBA history. We'll be back on Monday when we rewind the weekend, update you on what the Sixers do, that Villanova game, any Eagles and or Phillies news. We have Phillies baseball tomorrow. They take on the Blue Jays in their first spring training game. Looking forward to watching that as the rain and the cold rain is pouring outside. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for February 20th, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a feel-good Friday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.